Do you want to ask me a question?
Sure.
Or?
So, I guess first question, I mean, what do you think of the man who was Ted Perry?
Who?
Ted Perry?
Ah, right. He's a great guy. And the wonderful thing about Ted is that he's an excellent teacher. He's been a great mentor to me, a whole lot of other people as well. And, you know, he's not someone who ever thinks of himself as bigger than the news. And that comes through when he's on the anchor desk. I think that comes through in a lot of his reporting, a lot of his writing, and I think that people connect to that. And I think that that's not something that necessarily that you learn along your career. I think that that's innately part of you. And it was really refreshing to see that in Ted, because he could have completely gone the other way. A lot of folks who sit on those big desks can be full of themselves. Ted Perry is absolutely not. He thinks of the story first, and in many cases himself third or fourth. But a wonderful mentor and a really decent guy, and that comes across in his work. Sure.
So, can you just give me some adjectives, some words
Okay.
to describe him?
Ted's a fun guy to work with, and he never takes himself too seriously, and that's a wonderful thing, unless he has to be absolutely serious. You know what's hilarious right now? There's a bobcat that's going to come through our interview, and I'm looking forward to this. Oh, he's going the other way. No worries. Ah, okay. Some adjectives to describe Ted Perry. He's a fun guy to work with, and he loves what he does, and that's hard to find. And he's always very gracious with his advice. He's a great teacher, a great mentor. And, you know, like when I first got to Fox 6, on occasion he'd take me under his wing and he'd give me some suggestions, some ideas, and it was wonderful criticism, but he always intended to help, not harm. And I think that that's one of the really special characteristics that he has. He's also outstanding at telling dirty jokes.
You got any?
Nothing I could share.
Is there any memory that sticks out with your time at Fox 6 with him?
Little known fact to people outside of Wisconsin is that the man who sits at the desk, who reads to you the very important, very serious news, in some cases life-changing words and sentences, actually was a college mascot at one point in time. And that blew me away. He was Bucky Badger. Bucky Badger sits on the desk. Bucky Badger has Emmys and Murrows and all the awards you can imagine. And you could think of him as an excellent newsman, and you'd be right. But before that, he was Bucky Badger.
Okay. Try to look at me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let's wait for these guys. Are you guys jumping in that car right there?
No, we're going down.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, man.
That's okay. And also, could you talk a little bit about how where we're doing this interview?
Yes, no problem. When you're all set?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
Look at me.
Sure, no problem.
So where are we right now? What are we doing?
We're conducting this interview, making sure to be on the sidewalk of a suburban community, because that's the way Ted would want it.
And
Right. Do you want me to talk about his writing? Or okay.
yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a guy who's known across the country. He's a craftsman. He's amazing with storytelling. He's like an artist when it comes to nouns and verbs. He's an amazing storyteller, and I'm proud to say that I know him, that we talk about the works.
What's one of the stories that you would like go back and look at when you're writing your
Yeah.
stories?
He hates that I love this story, but Rhythm Chicken, in my opinion, was one of the finest features I have ever seen, and he hates that I mentioned that. But he is a word craftsman, and Rhythm Chicken was my favorite.
Again, we're on the street.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, let me know when you're ready.
There you go.
People.
People. We love. This is why we do this.
I know, this is why we do this. But just getting back to it, the one thing that people marvel at. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. The one thing that people marvel at the most about Ted Perry is I'm sorry. The one thing that stands out to me for the most part is how amazing of a writer he is. He really is an artist when it comes to nouns, adjectives, verbs, putting together a story. We are talking about Boyd Huppert, right?
Oh, no, this is for Ted Perry.
Oh, he's good too. He's good too. What Ted will tell you, speaking of Boyd, what Ted will tell you is that in 1996 or 1997, he beat out Boyd Huppert for best writing. And he made sure to tell us that year after year after year. I'm still jealous of him for that.
You don't have that.
No.
Someday.
No. But one of the things I was most impressed about for Ted was when we were covering breaking news, and it was the Sikh Temple massacre, and Ted had an incredible grasp on a story that was developing and intricate parts that we didn't know. As simple as how do we pronounce the name of the people that we're doing stories on. And I remember on air hearing him say just the simplest question. There is some debate, there is some controversy, there is some problem with, we want to make sure we say your name correctly. Is it Sikh or is it Sikh? And it was something as simple as that always stood out for me, is that he wanted to make sure that we had the basics right, because that mattered. And I was always grateful that Ted established that, because that helped the foundation of the reporting for days to come in that terrible story. And as simple as just understanding that their name was the Sikh people rather than Sikh or other pronunciations gave the stories and the way that we did that news a lot of respect. And that first began with Ted Perry and his understanding and grasp, and the way he carried himself that day was very amazing. And I think it rubbed off on all the crews subsequently. In addition, Ted's been a mentor to some of the best reporters and photojournalists that I've ever worked with, Adam Schrager being one of them. Obviously, he worked with Boyd Huppert, Rena Sargentopoulos, and I think all of what he did rubbed off on them. It rubbed off on me, it rubbed off on Mike Lowe, it's rubbing off on Ben Handelman, it's rubbing off on Ashley Sears, Jenna Sachs. So whether he likes it or not, this guy is responsible for improving the quality, not only of reporting, but also especially writing of generations of reporters. And I kind of feel like that's what the Silver Circle is all about. And not many people can pull that off, but Ted Perry did. Then I also mentioned he's really good at telling dirty jokes. Really good. Cannot share any of them, but very good. Oh yeah, also, Ted Perry loves to laugh. And if you get him going enough, you'll hear the Perry pop. It's a snort, and it's hilarious. Did I also mention he's very good at telling dirty jokes? Okay.
Good. Are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay.
You want me to do the why are we out here thing one more time, or are we good?
Yeah, let's do it one more time.
Okay.
Well, let me.
You want to ask that, or should I?
No. I mean, tell me why we're out here. Why are we sitting out here?
Why are we out in the sidewalk doing an interview?
Yeah.
I think Ted would want it that way. It's kind of weird.